Hi, my name is Atticus with RC Products. Today we're going to show you how to install our no-clip body mount system on the Traxxas Slash two-wheel drive and the Slash 4x4. The no-clip body mount system is to help save you from losing some body clips, so let's go ahead and begin with the install. In this video we're going to show you how to install the RPM no-clip body mounts on the Traxxas Slash 4x4. We begin by using a 2mm screw to remove the front and rear body mounts from the truck. Be sure to keep these stock screws for use later. This is step one of installing the rear shock tower bracket to the adjustable legs. In this step we'll need both of the legs off of the fan shroud tree, and we'll also need the rear shock tower bracket off of this tree here. In order to install the adjustable legs onto the rear shock tower bracket, we want to take a look at the adjustability on the back of the legs. Counting down from the top, we want to use the second and the fourth hole to give you roughly a stock body position. When we go to install these on the rear shock tower bracket, we want to use 3mm by 10mm long flathead screws. Notice the RPM logo on the top of the part. We want to make sure that that goes up and then the legs go over the top from there. When you're finished, you want to make sure that you have a part that looks like this with the bumps towards the top, the RPM logo on this side, and then you can go to the next step. For the next step, we're going to install the lock plate onto the adjustable legs from the assembly we just built. To do this, we're going to need 4 of the spacers on this tree, but take note of the spacers. There's some that are marked BM and the other ones are marked LP. LP stands for lock plate, BM stands for body mounts. We want to make sure we use these 4 and not these 2. You can see they're different thickness. We'll also need 4 3mm by 20mm long screws, as well as 4 3mm lock nuts. To begin, we'll trim off the 4 pieces that we need from the tree. And then to install this, what we're going to do is we're going to place the lock plate over the adjustable legs, but you can see there's a gap. So that's where the spacers come into place. So the easiest way to do this is to slip the screw through and install a spacer, and then do that again for the second side. And then from there, slip that through the adjustable legs like that. So you have the screw, lock plate, spacers, then the adjustable leg, and then lock nuts behind. And to finish up, use a pair of channel locks or other way to reach the lock nuts on the back and snug it up in all 4 places. Once the rear adjustable legs and lock plate is complete, this is what it should look like. Now we're going to install the assembly we just built onto the truck in the original body mount position in the back using the stock screws. Now we move on to the front. For this step, you want to make sure you grab the front mount and the front body catch. For this one, you want to make sure that the curve goes down like this. This is going to be your top side. So this is the top here. And this will bolt here. And again, looking at the whole number of holes that we have, counting down from the top, we want to start with our second and our fourth hole on both sides when we bolt this together. When it's assembled, you'll notice that the catch is going to face this direction. You'll have the holes for the mount on this side, and the RPM logo on the back will go up. Next, you want to install that on the truck using the stock screws you removed earlier. Notice how the catch faces rearwards. The next step is to install the fan and fan shroud onto the radiator. For this step, we're going to use numerous parts. We're going to use our radiator, we're going to use our fan shrouds, we're going to use our fans, our lock foot in both places, 2 3mm by 25mm long screws, and 2 3mm lock nuts. Begin by clipping off the fan shroud and fan from their respective trees, as well as the lock foot. And then installing the fans with the fan shroud is very simple. Just take a close look at the fan and notice the bottom has all these little round ejector pin marks on them. That is the bottom. We want that to be away from the physical surface of the fan shroud. So just flip it over. Make sure when you put it in the back you can see those ejector pin marks. And now you see we have our fan inside of our fan shroud. Do that in both positions. The fan is nothing more than an aesthetic piece. You don't need it if you don't want it. We put it in there for people that really wanted the scale realism. But if you don't want it, you want to lose the weight, go ahead and get rid of it. To install the fan shroud on the radiator, simply slip the fan shroud into the hole in the back, and notice that the lock foot has a little key on it. The key will key in with the back of the fan shroud. When you slip it down, rotate it until it locks in place, and then simply slip one of the 3mm lock nuts in the back. If it doesn't want to go in straight, a quick little easy trick is to slip the 25mm bolt through, thread on the nut, naturally it doesn't want to go. And once it's threaded on a little ways, simply push it in place. Then you can lock it in place. Make sure when you're threading it together that the lock foot stays keyed with the fan shroud. If it comes loose, it's not going to bolt together properly. Use caution when bolting these two together because you want to make sure that the fan shroud moves freely on the radiator. So if necessary, back off the screw a little bit so that it moves nice and freely. You want that to be able to rotate because that's your lock. So again, when you go to put the two together, take note of the slot in the back and the key on the lock foot, and the two will key together. So slip that in. Slide the 25mm screw through, slip the lock foot over the top, thread the 3mm nut onto the back, once it begins threading on, push it into the back of the lock foot. Hold the two together so that they don't become dislodged or unkeyed, and lock it down. Again, making sure that the fan shroud moves freely. Best way is to take it until it just starts to bind up, and then back it off just a little bit. Now, the other thing you want to pay attention to on the instructions is notice where the radiator cap is, and then notice the position of the feet. In order for it to fit properly in the lock plate, you want to make sure that the lock foot next to the radiator cap is up, and the lock foot away from the radiator cap is straight down. This is the way it's going to get bolted onto the body of the truck, and it's the only way it'll slip into the lock on the truck once it's installed. Next, we're going to be doing the modifications we need to do to our body to make sure that the assembly will catch onto the truck. What you'll notice here is a stock Traxxas body. There are only a few bodies that this body mount system will work on, so we want to make sure that you get the right bodies. And the two bodies that will work on, one we're calling a number plate kit. You notice how there's a number plate on the side right here. The other body that's compatible with does not have a number plate. You want to make very certain that you're aware of which body you have when you go to install this, because the positions are different. For information on which bodies are compatible with our no-clip body mount system, take a look at the link below, or go to www.rpmrcproducts.com and visit the actual parts portion of our website so you can see which bodies will work. Now, if you take a look at the template, what you're going to see is a cut template, and there's multiple areas you need to pay attention to. Notice that there's areas that say no number plate body and number plate body. Again, it's very important that you research which body you have and make sure it's compatible with our system, and make sure you cut the template out based off of which body you have. Since the body we're using is a number plate body, we want to make sure we follow all of the guidelines marked number plate body windshield. This one also says back edge of number plate passenger cabin, so we want to follow that line, and we want to follow this line. Make sure you don't cut beyond the dashed lines. You should always be able to see them. A little bit of extra gap is okay, but keep as close as you can. As you can see, we've already clipped out our templates and placed them on the body and taped them in place. When you go to place these, you want to make sure that on the back template that it goes up against the edge of the cab here, and that it's centered as best as possible. Now, what's nice is Traxxas actually provides small dimples in the body, and they're actually on center line of the truck. So if you take the arrows and have it point directly at the small dimples, it will center it up. If you don't have those dimples, or perhaps it's an older body or a different body, then you want to make sure you try and center the template up as best as you can, making sure that the template is on the outside of the truck for the rear and up against the cab when you tape it down. For the front, you want it to be on the inside of the body, and again, you want the edge to go up against the windshield here and centered as best as possible. And on this one, there's actually a small dimple as well that you can line up that arrow with to make sure it's on center. On the template, you should have cut out the 4 screw holes. These are going to be 1/8 inch or 3.2 millimeter diameter holes, and the areas for the lock feet of the radiator need to be cut out. We're going to mark these areas on the body using a Sharpie or other marking device so that we can cut those things out after we remove the template. On the front, we simply want to drill out these 1/8 inch screw holes in 4 places. With the holes, you want to be as accurate as possible With the lock feet, make sure you go a little beyond the edges of this when you go to cut them out. We're going to be using an X-Acto knife to cut out our holes, but it's probably not the safest way to go about it. We would probably suggest using a drill to start a hole and then using a Dremel or a file to get the positions opened up as best as possible. For the holes, we recommend either a step drill or a body reamer. Once the body's been marked in both the front and rear, you can remove the templates if you'd like. Personally, I like to leave it in place just so that it allows me a better view of exactly where the drills need to go. It makes it easier to center up the drill. As you can see, we have our holes drilled and our slots cut for our lock feet. We also have the holes drilled for the front of the body as well. At this point, if you haven't already, you can remove the templates and you can go ahead and paint your body. We are going to leave ours clear for now, just so that you can see what we have going on for the rest of the installation. But for you, go ahead and paint your body at this time before you proceed. We're going to go ahead and install the front body mount to the truck, but I want to cover a couple of notes before we begin. This is the body mount. This is going to be towards the rear of the truck. This is going to be towards the front. We have our 3mm by 12mm screws, our 3mm by 20mm screws, which we're going to be used in the rear. These will be used in the front. We have some body mount spacers here. That's what the BM on the tree stood for. And then we have our body buttons. The 4 body buttons are used to help prevent the body mount system from pulling through the body under extreme impacts. So if you're going to do just a show truck, you can feel free to leave those out. But if you plan on running the truck or abusing the truck in any way, shape, or form, we recommend using the body buttons to protect the body. Also, what we want to focus in on is the 2 body mount spacers that we have a convex and a concave side. What you'll see here with the ejector pin marks, so you're going to see that this is the convex side, or I'm sorry, the concave side, and this side is going to go down towards the body mount, whereas the convex side will go up against the body. It's a very slight curve, but it's important that it's placed in the right spot. We'll start by trimming the spacers off the tree. And then the body buttons off the tree as well. The body mount will bolt in place like this, with the spacers going back behind into the rear, holding the back end up slightly. To do that, we take a long screw. The 2 3mm by 20mm screws are going to go towards the back. So make sure that we place the body button with the taper side away. So it'll go like that. And it goes in from the top of the truck through the hole. Then we have our convex side, the rounded side, towards the body with the ejector pin marks visible. And then we can go ahead and install on our body mount. Keep them loose until all 4 of them are threaded in, and then you can tighten them down. Once it's completed, that's what it'll look like from the outside and on the inside. Now on to the last part of our installation, that's the radiator onto the body. This is very simple with just using our radiator assembly, our 4 3mm by 8mm long screws, and our 4 number 4 washers. Again, we need to make sure that we look at the back and make sure that our lock feet are positioned correctly, with the side near the radiator cap up and the side away from the radiator cap pointing straight down. Take your radiator, slip it through the slots, hold it in place, flip it over, and then when you go to install the screws, take a look at your washers. There's a sharp edge and a smooth edge. You want to make sure that the smooth edge goes towards the body, not the sharp edge. Remember when you're doing this to keep everything loose until all 4 screws are installed before you tighten everything down. Don't worry if the lock feet move while you're doing this. You can always fix it once you're finished screwing everything in place. If the lock feet have moved like mine did during the installation, simply move them and orient them so that they match what's been cut in the body. They'll need to be oriented like this so that they'll fit within the lock plate on the chassis. Now you have the assembly done, all you have to do is install the body onto the chassis. The body mount right here is going to slip into this catch right here, and then the feet are going to fall into the lock plate. Your body is obviously going to be painted, so it's going to be a little more difficult for you to see the catch. So what we recommend is turning the truck on its side so that you can see it slide into place. For us, we'll be able to see it through the body, so it's easy to leave it flat. But essentially, just slip it down like this, push down slightly, push here, and then rotate the fan shrouds 180 degrees until it stops. Your body's done. That completes the installation of the RPM no-clip body mount system on the Traxxas Slash 4x4. For more products and more product information, please visit our website at www.rpmrcproducts.com. Thank you for watching.